What's up, everybody? Great Lakes here, and the NYPD has once again made the news for something absolutely ridiculous. NYPD was doing a buy bust, so drug buy bust. The gentleman they were buying the stuff from took off on his scooter. A undercover sergeant decided it would be wise to throw and hit this guy in the face with his cooler, who then crashed into the back of a car and succumbed to his injuries. That's ridiculous. Running from a drug bust should not be a death sentence. So, it's NYPD for you, man. Let's watch some of this stuff. We'll be back in a minute to talk.
Over at New York City, that's where we go for our next story. A man fleeing New York City police officers on a motorcycle died Wednesday after a sergeant hurled a plastic picnic cooler at his head from close range, causing a violent crash. That all according to authorities. And of course, we have our Fox 5 New York team standing by for us live with the very latest. I want to go out to Briella Tomasetti live this morning over in Brooklyn. Good morning, Briella. What are we learning?
Yeah, Giacomo, we're actually up in the Bronx. This was, unfortunately, a sticky situation that ended in complete tragedy. Eric Dupree was attempting to get away from police after a buy-and-bust operation gone wrong. Now, keep in mind he has 2 prior arrests, one for felony assault, another for drugs, but his family says that doesn't mean he deserved to die. Was barely able to hold back the tears as she explained the gaping hole her brother's sudden death has left in her family. It's my only brother, she told reporters in Spanish outside a makeshift memorial in the Bronx, now adorned with candles, flowers, and photos. Eric Dupree was killed after being knocked off his motorcycle by a police sergeant during a drug bust. According to the NYPD, Dupree was caught selling narcotics to an undercover cop on Aqueduct Avenue near West 190th Street in Kingsbridge Heights at around 5:30 Wednesday evening. The department didn't mention exactly what drugs he was accused of selling. Police sources say Dupree took off to avoid being apprehended until he was stopped in his tracks by Sergeant Eric Duran. Duran, who was standing on the sidewalk in plain clothes, allegedly tossed a plastic picnic cooler at Dupree's head, causing him to lose control of the bike, hit a parked car, and fall to the ground. Video taken at the scene, which we've blurred because it's graphic, shows paramedics carrying his limp body onto a stretcher. He later died at the hospital. We don't accept it. We can't believe that police who supposedly will protect us, take care of us, are the ones that kill us, said Dupree's older sister. Born and raised in the Bronx and part of a Puerto Rican family, he leaves behind a wife and 3 young children. Just hours after Dupree was pronounced dead, the NYPD posted a statement to social media reading, quote, New York City Police Department Sergeant Eric Duran was suspended from duty without pay following a fatal incident in the Bronx on Wednesday afternoon involving a man attempting to flee from the police on a motorcycle. The State Attorney General's office is also investigating Dupree's death.
So, this man fleeing, who in their right mind thinks that's a good idea? Thank you, Fox, for the report, for reporting on this. That is just, I mean, what? Like, that's not proportional violence. Like, to use violence or physical acts against someone, you have to use something in proportion to what they're doing. You can't go above and beyond. You can't just shoot them for fleeing. Okay? Like, that's what happens here. So let's watch a few more incidents where police around the country, including more in NYPD, have used violence towards people on motorcycles with
388717 is this license plate of this cop, quote unquote. Look at this guy. Look at him. Oh my God, he's trying to hit him.
Hello, and thank you for calling 311 in New York City. We're here
Oh my
to help.
God.
Give me your hands! Give me your hands! Go! Go! Watch his hand! Watch him! Give me your fucking hand! Give me! I got him! Get off his hand! Stop moving! Stop! No, please take it easy. Stop moving! Stand up straight! Stand up straight! Yo, see me twisting the fuck about in the grass. What you need help for, huh? How many people could you hit? Huh? What's your idea? Yo. Check this. All right. Sorry. Bro, stand.
Our video shows the aftermath of a violent encounter between a Littleton police officer and a man who was on this stolen motorcycle. Very early Thursday morning, police responded here to a suspicious vehicle call near an apartment complex. According to the initial press release sent out by Littleton police, Stephen Poulsen was driving a motorcycle and crashed. When the officer attempted to contact him, the individual ran and produced a gun.
Who here thinks that officer lied?
The Littleton officer fatally shot Poulsen, who died at 41 years old. However, we have obtained more video that reveals much more than a, quote, crash. Cell phone video shows security camera footage. At the top of the screen is Poulsen on the bike. To the left, the Littleton police officer's car. And then this happened. Poulsen runs, and soon the officer gives chase right before the shooting. Police never mentioned the officer rammed his car into the suspect. After we told police we had this video, they actually sent us a better quality file of the incident an hour before this broadcast. We asked why they didn't initially reveal the officer hit the suspect with his car.
There's a huge crucial detail missing from this case, so I'm looking to either get an online, or maybe like on-camera interview or a statement or something.
Littleton police would not talk on camera, citing an ongoing investigation. In a statement, police characterized their initial press release as very preliminary information obtained in the early hours of the scene and was the most accurate information that LPD had at the time.
His bike bent up.
Are the disturbing and sometimes insensitive comments by other officers on the scene.
They had to hit him. Look how his bike bent up.
I need justice for my little brother.
It is a violation of our departmental policy to fire a taser from a moving vehicle.
They need to be calling an ambulance.
I miss him every day. He was only 15.
On August 26th last year, a Michigan State trooper was in pursuit of 15-year-old Damon Grimes. These videos tell the story of his senseless death.
He flipped. Yep. Tell him there's an accident.
While Grimes rode his red ATV on Rossini Drive in Detroit, Trooper Mark Bessner's squad car was in pursuit. When Grimes didn't pull over, Bessner shot him with a taser, a violation of department policy. Grimes crashed into a parked truck.
What happened? They tased he was driving, causing him to flip and crash.
They're coming from Gratiot and Rossini.
If you just maybe have a unit or two, maybe there's more support. Sounds like it might be pretty bad.
Quickly, nearby officers from MSP and Detroit police respond to the scene. There, standing over Grimes' body, is Trooper Bessner.
Yeah, he crashed into the Can you get a mask out of it? He was going pretty slow. Got a pulse, he's breathing.
But quickly, Grimes' condition worsens, while other officers watch helplessly. Listen.
He had a strong pulse. We got here. It's a real thing. Tony, his pulse is weakening. What's our ETA on EMS?
His pulse is weakening. Thing and you chase.
While most officers arriving on the scene turn their body cameras on, some appear to turn theirs off. As one officer arrives, another approaches, placing his hand over her body camera. Immediately, she turns her camera off.
He's 15.
Type 5-1.
Where's his mom at?
No way. He's a bad this fool. I'm sorry, man. I ain't got no sympathy. You know what I'm saying? No sympathy at all for you want to be grown, act grown, and deal with it.
When EMS arrived at the hospital, Grimes was pronounced dead. Hours later, police were still on the scene. As the sun set, they used a hose to clean up the crime scene where a 15-year-old lost his life. Neighbors watched in disbelief.
Now they want to clean up the blood after they just killed my little cousin.
Trooper Bessner resigned from the Michigan State Police after Grimes' death. He is set to be tried for murder in August. Even before he joined Michigan State Police, Bessner's conduct in another police department set off red flags. Our big story coverage continues with 7 investigator Simon Shaquette, who's live in Canton. Simon.
Ross, we obtained these documents through the Freedom of Information Act, and they spell out how Bessner broke the rules while working as an officer here in Canton.
Some departments flat out just said, we're not going to tell you anything except that, yes, that's a valued employee here, and they worked here from this date to this date.
We showed State Police spokesman and former hiring background investigator Lieutenant Mike Shaw the findings of our Freedom of Information Act request. One issue back on August 18th, 2010, that led to Bessner being suspended without pay was a failure to investigate after a woman ingested pills in an apparent suicide attempt. Instead, Bessner locked her up, and she later became unconscious, stopped breathing, and required emergency help before being placed on life support.
And that would be something we would talk to them about. If we knew about it, we would discuss it with them.
Out today. Hopefully it's not too windy when we get out there. There's no way that's a cop, bro. Whoa, what are you doing, bro? Oh, maybe it is. Shit. Why he brake checked me? What are you...
What are you doing, man? Stop tailgating me!
Albany police are investigating after a police car collided with a person driving what they say was an illegal dirt bike. This took place yesterday evening in the West Hill neighborhood of Albany. Jonathan Hunter is live outside Albany Police headquarters for us tonight. Jonathan, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Kumi. And this all unfolded yesterday around 5:30 p.m. And people riding illegal dirt bikes has been a problem in the city of Albany for quite some time. Today, I spoke to Albany Police spokesman Steve Smith, and he says these dirt bikes are dangerous for the community. However, I also spoke to a few people who ride these dirt bikes, and they believe they are doing nothing wrong.
This video has been shared on Facebook. It shows people riding on dirt bikes on Clinton Avenue Friday night. You can see one police car collides with the back of a dirt bike, causing the person who was riding to fall to the ground. Albany Police spokesman Steve Smith says the person who was hit fled the scene and jumped on another illegal dirt bike.
They were recklessly and illegally operating their dirt bike on a city sidewalk during rush hour.
I asked Smith, was the crash accidental, and were police trying to get the people who were riding to pull over? He says the circumstances surrounding the crash are under investigation.
So what we're seeing here is a pattern of behavior by police all over the place. There's a lot of them in New York, but hitting people with your vehicles that are on motorcycles, ATVs, scooters, tasing someone on a scooter. I mean, this is some disgusting behavior. These people on these vehicles don't have protections like we do in a car or truck. A pit maneuver in a car is less fatal than if you try and pit someone on a motorcycle. I mean, you have nowhere to go but wherever your momentum takes you. You don't have a seatbelt holding you in. You don't have airbags protecting you, giving you a nice cushion, area. It's not very comfortable, but, at least protecting you. This is disgusting. Any officer that does this kind of behavior should be criminally charged, period. Those that turn off their body cameras should be charged, period. It should be a criminal offense to turn off your body cameras. especially to cover up conversations and evidence of what was happening on the scene. That's disgusting. To the families of the people who passed in these videos, I'm very sorry for your loss. Just running shouldn't equal a death sentence. It shouldn't. It's terrible. That's it for now, guys. Take care of yourself and each other. I'll see you.